Thank you. Okay. Hello. Can everybody hear me? I'm not really good with mics. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our apologies. We did have some technical issues with getting the PowerPoint up. So just welcome and thank you all for attending our workshop. My name is Chelesa Holden. I am the executive director for the Oxygen Project, Yoga for Youth. And today's presentation is going to be centered around breathe, balance, and belonging, centering, healing, and racial equity among youth. My co-facilitator, we had Ms. K, but Ms. K had an injury, so she's not with us today, but we have our other, one of our other youth yoga instructors, Ms. Bryna Parker, who will be facilitating the actual guided session with you all in a little bit. So there are 5 objectives for today, and so the first is that we're going to explore healing-centered practices grounded in racial equity. We're going to share the Oxygen Project's community model with you all today. We're going to learn about culturally responsive wellness strategies, experience breath work and movement, so putting that into practice with the help of Bryna. And then we're going to leave out with a call to action. So in this session, I want you all to just feel free, be yourself, be in yourself, and just encourage you all to engage openly and reflect personally. Sounds good? Or no? I think we're stuck here. Is it not moving? It's not. Oh my goodness. Okay, tech. Because we can't get to the next slide. Yep. Mm-mm. Okay. Okay, just bear with us. I'm sorry. I thought we were on a roll here. So we're just going to breathe and exhale. We do have them masks that's open, like they can get them and go around the room if they want to, but then I need 3 sheets of those sticky notes to be hung somewhere on the walls for them to get on. Go on that side. Oh, because that can go up on that stand over there. There's some stands up there. Those little. Will it clip there? No, it'll lean back. That would be good. It'll lean back.
Oh, I see the bottom post. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if your co-presenter wants to run mic for you, but because yours is the mic question is like just speak into the microphone. Or
Yep.
just
Okay.
happy to help you with that.
I was trying to make sure we could do this. That's okay. But then I'm about to stand over here and click, right?
Try to bring it back over here. For some reason, it's just like
Okay.
So while they're figuring out the tech issues, I was wondering if I could ask you all a quick question. Just wondering, just by a show of hands, how many of you have heard of the Oxygen Project and all of you? You heard. Okay. Well, for those of you who do know, thank you for coming to the session, and for those of you who are just learning about the organization or wanting to hear what our executive director, Chelesa, has to say about the organization, I'll just take advantage of this time to kind of introduce myself and the organization, if that's okay with you all. If you don't want to do that, you can also just like, no, from the back. So my name is Mindy Chu. I am the chair of the board of the Oxygen Project, and I'm also an instructor. So as an organization, what we do is we provide yoga and wellness programming to youth in schools. So we use social emotional learning as part of our curriculum, and we deliver it to youth that are ages K through 12. And so we incorporate our programming into the school day. So it's not, we do have after school programs as well, but we found a lot of success and positive outcomes in integrating it into the everyday. So one of the schools that I taught at was Ferguson Middle School, and I taught in the science class. So literally we would do yoga next to the guinea pigs, and then they would do science. So that was really cool. And then so we also do after school programming, and we also provide programming at community organizations because to be vulnerable with you, as an adult, I found it really difficult to find a third space to build connections, find friendships, and community organizations are still serving that for a lot of youth in the area. So we found that, instead of trying to get them to come to a yoga studio, we should just go to them wherever they are. So we do have a booth here in the vendor hall. If you haven't had a chance to stop by, please do. I'd love to connect with you, shake your hand, learn more about what you do and possibly what we could do together to serve the youth of St. Louis. If you're in the Kuba app, I also somehow they gave me the ability to create a meetup. I don't know if they only gave me that, but I have a meetup scheduled tomorrow at noon. Noon, okay, thank you, Lori. At noon here-ish. And it's going to be a meetup of people who are focused on the mental health and wellness of youth. Mostly because we believe in collaboration, we believe in working with organizations that are already working with you, so that's not, reinvent the wheel. You're already there, you're already talking to the populations you want to serve, so we would like to work with you to further all of our missions. So I think, well, I got excited because I saw the thing pop up, but apparently we're still working on that. So I guess in the meantime, I'm here for your entertainment. Oh no, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's oh, okay. So are there any questions? You guys want to do this on here?
I have a question. So I'm from Kansas City, but I work.
Welcome.
My job is located here in St. Louis, so it's kind of weird. It works out. But I'm a yoga instructor,
Oh,
and I have a
okay.
platform as well. And I go into youth spaces and after school care. So I have 5 school sites. So I'm really interested to see how, I guess, the demographic of your staff that you have. Do you, as an organization, are they? I'm sure they're certified in the yoga practice, but are there other certifications that you look for with your yoga instructors?
Yeah, that's excellent question. You win question. How to ask it today. So we are hiring yoga instructors, and so the base requirement that we have been looking for is someone that is at least 200-hour yoga certified. However, what we have found is there are a lot of people who have an education background who are used to working with youth in spaces and have that experience, and have been practicing yoga for 20 years, but they just never paid $1,000 for training, right? So we've actually been having a lot of discussions internally with the board and our executive director to see how we can maybe change up those requirements a little bit or have like a and or type situation. So the way that it works is we generally all of our instructors, so Lucy's an instructor, Lori, Bryna,
I think we are good to go. Thank you for wrestling with us with that. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to these are our objectives for today, and then we're just going to move right on into why healing justice. So healing justice is a term that was coined by Kara Page and Kindred Healing Justice Collective. So when we think about healing, we always go to trauma informed, right? But healing justice goes beyond just fixing the trauma. It's about creating conditions for communities to thrive despite systemic oppression. It also focuses on collective care, safety, and resilience. In 2018, Ganwright found through their study that healing-centered engagement values culture, identity, and agency as essential to well-being. I just want to ask Bryna if you could share briefly, how have you seen our programming and how with youth benefiting from a space centered on identity and healing?
Oh, I don't need a mic. You can hear me, right?
It's people on their streaming, so you got to talk.
Okay. Can you repeat that question?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, how have you briefly share how youth benefit from a space centered on identity and healing?
Okay, well, I wasn't prepared for that one, but I was going to teach some yoga, but good question. I think it's interesting when I go into schools. I've been going in for about 5 years, and I think it depends on who you're working with. Like we work with elementary school, we work with middle school, we work with high school. I don't know, Chelesa. I think that for me, going into the schools, I'm there to provide space for them to be in their body, however they need to be in their body. And a lot of times I go in with the idea that we're here to provide yoga, but my job really is to listen and to see what they need. And from day to day, and from depending on what age it is and what school we're in, depending on what's going on in the world or in our city, that can change. And so some days we're focused on this amazing curriculum that we have, and some days, you know, we might be working on rest. We might be working on having conversations about whatever is coming up. So for me, I think it just varies on where I'm at and what's happening in the world and how the kids are receiving in that day. I don't know if that actually answers your question, but that's actually how I show up in the space. I really allow them to lead.
Thank you, Bryna, for that. So I think a key point that you pointed out is leading us into our next slide is understanding how youth and their trauma within racialized systems, right? So in 2023, the CDC found that 61% of the U.S. of youth experience at least one ACE. Who's familiar with the ACEs? Awesome, perfect. And then in 2014, Wade found that Black youth disproportionately face violence, poverty, and school exclusion. And so this is very important because as we're working with youth, we know that structural racism increases their trauma and it reduces their access to healing spaces. So unequivocally, intentionally or intentionally, when we think about the school setting can be complicit into reproducing this harm if they are not mindful of how they are trying to address and have approaches to help their youth through these traumas and through the racialized systems that they are embedded in. And so this is why our model, the Oxygen Project model, focuses on prevention, connection, and cultural affirmation. So with our model is trauma-informed and healing-centered, and we use the approach that is aligned with CASEL and social-emotional learning competencies. We do use, as Bryna mentioned earlier, we use youth as the center for the center driver of the voice and the program design. And then also our programming is, as Mindy, our attendee, our board president, stated that our programming is embedded within the schools. So we are in there during the day, of course, based off of the administrators their need and what time are typically good for the students to be engaged. But we also do out-of-school spaces as well for accessibility, because we know among Black and brown youth and Black and brown communities, yoga is not a normal practice that happens or is embedded into their life, day-to-day life. So with the Oxygen Project, we are doing and continuing to exceedingly do is make sure that we emphasize and integrate culturally responsive and community-based practices that allows for students to reflect on their realities and their strengths. So a few key components of our program is that we make sure our programming is welcoming and that they are in an affirming environment to reduce threat responses. All right, so we want to make sure that our kiddos are coming into a space where they feel welcome, where they don't feel like, oh, you have to participate. Like, we allow them, while we encourage them to participate, but we also know that some may not participate, and that's quite all right. We don't say, oh, no, you can't, you have to do this, right? So we don't want to pose a threat to our kiddos. We engage with breath work and grounding because this helps our kiddos actually come to a calming state. And then it also calms their nervous system, which is also a part of the polyvagal theory. And then we are also being mindful of our movements, right, with our kiddos, because being mindful of the movements that you do, it may, depending on where that child comes from or what has happened to them in the past, it can be triggering. So we want to make sure that the movements are mindful and also taking in consideration not only of their experiences, but also supporting all body types. And then a part of our components, some of our instructors will use a discussion time so that the kiddos can reflect on their experience after participating, so which you all will get to do today. And then we also not only know through our programming, but we also see that when we are connecting to cultural identity, it fosters pride and resilience in our youth. So I think this is the most important one, is really how do we connect with our youth and build trust with our youth. One, it comes from peer mentoring and leadership roles that are built in agency. So we have some students that have been with our program from grade to grade. So second grade, then they move to third grade. And so those are our kiddos that are like real, like, yes, I'm ready for yoga. And then you may have some kiddos that probably just transferred into the school district, but they are like a little hesitant. But having those kiddos that are like, hey, I've been part of yoga for 2 years, 3 years, and then they're like, okay, I'll give it a try, right? So using those, the peer mentoring, so like from their peers, actually helps them, support them get engaged with the programming. We also constantly look at our feedback loops to help with programming relevancy. So we want to make sure that we are staying relevant with the times and also relevant with what our kiddos are going through and experiencing in everyday life outside of school, right? Some of our kids are coming from families with 6, 7 other siblings, or they're coming from a family who may have grandma or grandpa are raising them, or just maybe even foster care. So we really try to keep everything, make that feedback loop continue so that we can evaluate, making sure our program is having the impact that it needs to have. Our sessions also incorporate music and movement rooted in cultural affirmation. And so what that means is that our instructors will oftentimes find music that's relatable to the kiddos. We don't play the words, but the instrument, yeah, because that can get a little skeptical with today's music. But, and I'm sure they could sing every word if they did hear it. But we use the instrumentals, because then that way they're not looking at us like, oh, what kind of sounds are these? Like rain? Like, why are we listening to rain? Oh, no, I know this song. And they'll probably start singing a little bit of it while they're doing the movements. So just being able to connect with them in that way, and they don't think that like, oh, they're so old and they probably don't even know this song, right? But just seeing them like, oh, they picked this song. And so it gets them more excited and want to participate more. And then our curriculum also adapts to site-specific needs. So before we go into any of our school sites or our organizations that we are partnered with, we actually talk to those administrators and listen to them. What are your needs? How can we fill those needs? And so we make sure that we are all ears in, listening, and then we get back with our instructors to let them know, like, hey, this is what they're looking for. This is the type of group that you'll be dealing with. This is the age that you're dealing with. Is it a mixed group? Is it female, male, non-binary? Like this, we really want to make sure that we are that's part of making that environment affirming and welcoming. Okay, so within our years of being established, we have been able to serve over 500 youth across throughout St. Louis City and St. Louis County. We are not on a district level with our programming, but that is one of my lofty goals as executive director, to start to try to connect with folks to see, hey, what's that process? How can we get this built into actual school districts' curriculum? And we've known that it's worked through our evaluation of our impact. So 87% of our participants have reported that they have improved their self-regulation and their confidence. One story that I will share from one of our kiddos over at Glasgow, I think she was like 10 years old, and she was on diabetes medication, and she also had high blood pressure. And she's been a part of our program for, I think she was going into her third year of our programming, but she shared with the instructor, was like, hey, you know what? I get to get off my medicine. And then she was like, really? She was like, yeah, look, my levels have been lower, and I went to visit my doctor, and my doctor said that I'm able to get pulled off my medicine, and that she's like, it's because of yoga. I've been able to participate, and it's really been having a positive impact on my body. And she actually shared that with the doctor, and the doctor was like, okay, let's continue that. Let's make sure you're staying in this program, because it's really helping you not only mentally, but it's helping you physically as well. Thank you. And as we mentioned earlier, we don't only work with our youth, we also work with the administrators, the staff, and faculty of those schools or other organizations, and what they call like professional development days. And so our teachers and community partners have also seen a decrease in behavioral incidents, as well as an increase in better focus within the classroom. And so how do we measure our impact and evaluation? So what we use are pre and post social emotional learning surveys. We also get feedback from our teachers or the administrators at the school and the community partners. And then some of our older youth in the sessions at the schools have journals. And so those journals, we use those as well. We don't take them with us, we let them keep it, but some days we may just get there early and read through them just to see what they're saying and how it's helping. And so they will drop few gems in there, but then you'll also see that they'll share like, today was a stressful day. I'm glad that I'm ready for yoga, right? I have walked in schools coming into this position and introducing myself as a new executive director, and I've had kids say, are you with the yoga program? And I'm like, yeah, I am. When are we starting? Right? I was like, oh, okay. I wanted to make sure that I thought I was going to get a handful. But no, they are actually eager about coming to the program and actually being able to have an actual downtime, because these students are on the go, especially with our high school students. They may be playing sports, they are studying, and whatever have you that happens outside of the school setting. So this time is actually a time for them to be able to release and show up as their true selves. So how do adults get intertwined in this? So adults who participate with the students are actually modeling co-regulation and healthy coping. Educator wellness is essential for sustained impact. So if we know that our educators are just as stressed out as our youth, right? And so it's that whole mindset of like pouring from an empty cup. We can't be our true selves and cannot be beneficial to our youth. Not just like when I say we, I'm talking about like the educators, the teachers in the schools, if they aren't getting that same that in return. So opportunities for them to be able to experience what we do with the youth is also something that has been helpful for them to be able to sustain their classrooms and the regulation of the youth emotions. Let's see. And then also all in all is that when we reciprocate care spaces, we are building resilience for both youth and adults. And then in 2015, Jennings was able to show through their study that educators who engaged in mindfulness, also known as mindful educators, they help create more supportive learning environments. So, what we're gonna do, this is our time to be with everyone, and then practice together. So we do have some, if this is all voluntary, so if you want to sit in your chair, you can sit in your chair, but we do have mats laid out around the room. You can pick a mat, and I'm gonna turn it over to Bryna, who's gonna guide you all through what a session will look like with our youth, and then we will come back into back together, and then we'll do some reflection questions, and then I'm gonna need a volunteer, an attendee, and someone not from my team. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm gonna turn it over to Bryna to guide you all through this session.
There's one at the open mat over here, if somebody wants to use that. Yeah, I would say we do have that, and then also what I'm gonna share is a seated practice, so you'll be able to do this in your chair. If you're more comfortable on the ground, if you want to rest at this point and lay on the ground, here's an opportunity. If you want to take a nap, we have more mats.
I can't move and do that.
Okay.
Do they have a mic?
I can hold it for you.
Do you want one?
I'm gonna try.
She's gonna try to do the movement.
Okay.
So yeah, if you are seated, maybe just making sure you have space. We are gonna do some movements with our arms. This is gonna be really challenging for me to move and use this mic, so bear with me because I'm not used to holding my hand in front of me. Real quick, true story. My name is Bryna. I've been with Oxygen Project over 5 years. I love teaching in the schools. 2 days ago, they said, "Can you come fill in at the vendor booth?" I was like, "Sure, no problem." 2 hours ago, they said, "Hey, do you got your bowls in the car?" I said, "I actually do." So now I'm here sharing this practice with you. And I kind of I'm just going to wing it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'd like to start with a little bit of centering or breath work, whatever that looks like for you. So you can be in your body however you choose to. You might choose to sit up. You might choose to lay back. If you're on the ground, you might choose to lay down. I'll encourage you to find a way that feels comfortable and supportive. Some of you might want to stare out at the wall behind me. This might give a little bit of rest for the eyes, or you might want to close your eyes, or you might want to look down towards the ground if that feels okay. And then let's pause to arrive in this room, but mostly to arrive in our body. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling in your space, and maybe just become aware of any part of your body that's touching a surface. It might be your seat, your sitting bones, your legs, your feet. Take a moment to notice how your breath is flowing in and out of the body. And maybe take a moment to see how you're feeling today. Maybe you're checking in to see your emotional state or what is moving through the mind. Maybe you're checking in to see how you're feeling in your physical body. And if you haven't already, I'll encourage you to create a slower or a deeper breath, something that maybe is a bit fuller. And take a few rounds of breath to ease in to this breath practice where you're starting to direct your breath in and out. Maybe you start to count the breath for a 4-count inhale and a 4-count exhale, creating a little bit of balance with the breath. And I'll remind you to be very patient with yourself. And let's see if we can create a longer exhale. So allowing the exhale to linger. Thinking about slowing the exhale down a little bit. And I'm going to encourage you to take just a few more rounds like this without rushing, just noticing how the body responds. And then whenever you feel complete, I'll encourage you to gently bring yourself back. If your eyes are closed, you can open the eyes. Some people like to take a little bit of a look around the room, side to side, up and down. And then I want to start to add some movement into with our breath. So allow your, and I can't do this, but allow your arms to hang down by your sides. We're going to take a 3-count inhale as we shrug our shoulders, and then we'll exhale to release. So I'll show you, and then you can follow along. So we inhale, and then exhale. Let's try that a few times. So inhaling through the nostrils. Exhale. Sometimes with the kids, we'll have them pretend they're smelling a flower. And then blowing out the candle. Oh, that was loud. One more time. Good. We're going to start to move our arms with our breath. So inhaling to reach your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, let's twist and turn, bringing the arms down and look over the shoulder. We'll inhale and come back through center, reach the arms up. And then with your exhale, turn the other direction. And so I'm going to encourage you to move back and forth with these twists side to side at your pace. You can move fast. You can move slow, you can breathe heavy, you can breathe fast. Make the movement your own for a few rounds side to side. And then the next time you move through center, let's reach our arms up and let's start to take this into some side bending. So it doesn't matter which way you go, we're going to drop one arm down and we're going to lean to the side, reaching the other arm up overhead. And then bringing arms back through center, start to take that in the other direction. And then same thing here, start to flow at your pace. It can be fast, it can be slow. You can pause and hold in the stretch, or you can move side to side, kind of like a clock, tick-tocking back and forth. Always a water bottle. And then the next time, don't let me rush you, but the next time you come through center, let's reach our arms up overhead. We're going to take a big inhale. When we exhale, we're going to bend our elbows down, and we're going to take an audible exhale through our mouth and stick out the tongue. I know that sounds funny. Are you ready? Inhale to reach. Exhale. Oh, wow, you guys are professionals. Let's try that again. I love that. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Oh, yeah. All right. From here, let's take our, if you're seated on the floor, you can stay as you are. If you're in your chair, you might walk your feet slightly wider. Hands are going to come onto our lap, and we're going to start to move our spine forward and back. First, let's start to lift our head. Let's start to lift our heart space. We'll take a little bit of a back bend, and maybe you squeeze your shoulders back. And then we're going to start to round forward. Bring your chin towards your chest, round the shoulders, let the body drape. And then same thing when we start to move forward and back. Maybe you slide your hands forward and back with the movement. Take a few rounds like this. The next time you round forward, let's hold here for a minute. Some of you might let your hands rest, your arms rest on your lap, or you might use your hands as a brace, and see if we can let the head hang. Some of you might want to shake it out. You might want to sway a little bit. You might see if you want to round in a little bit more and gently come out. Just take a moment here in the fold. If you're seated in the chair, I'll encourage you to press gently into your feet as a point of support. In this forward fold, let's take one more breath. It's a bit harder in the fold, but see if we can take a full inhale and exhale to release. Good. We're going to come all the way back up to a seat. So we just moved through some bigger movements, some more dynamic movements. I want to challenge you and see if we can move through some micro movements. They're really small movements, and sometimes they're a bit of a challenge for the brain. But let's see what we can do. So I'm going to have you sit however you choose, and hands can come to your lap. We're going to take a micro pivot or a twist where you take one hand to the opposite knee, and you're just twisting within the body. And then we're going to bring that hand back, and heart space is going to come towards center, and we'll do that the opposite direction. So hand just moves towards the knee, you twist within the body, and then come back. And take that a few times, and this one you might choose to move slower. And you might think to look at where the heart is pointing. So to center, and then just a little bit off center. Let's do that one more time in each direction. And so the next time you come through center, let's take a few of those micro movements in our rounding. So start to bring your chin towards your chest, and then start to round the shoulders forward just a little bit. We're not going to go all the way. And then start to stack it back up. The shoulders stack, head stack, we come back through neutral. Let's see if we can make that even smaller. So chin comes to chest. We start to round forward just a little bit with the shoulders. I think of a candy cane. And then we'll lift back up, stack it up. Let's try that one more time. So a gentle nodding of the head, rounding the shoulders forward just a little bit, and then stacking it back up. Good. All right. Next thing I want to do is, I'm really challenged with this mic, I apologize. Next thing, thanks. Next thing I want to do is I want to come into that rounded shape again. Again, thinking about a candy cane. Let's hold that here for a second, and then reach your arms forward so your arms come by your ears. And we're going to think of our upper body as a lever. We're going to lift our torso and our arms together. So lifting up, reaching the body long. And then we're going to gently round back into that candy cane shape, arms reach forward. Let's do that a few times. And as you do that, press into your feet, root down into your sit bone, find a little bit of a foundation to move from. Let's take one more like that. And this time when you lift up, we're going to reach the arms out wide. They're going to come all the way down by the sides. We're going to roll through the shoulders. You like that one? Thank you. I love the feedback. Please talk to me. So let's roll through the shoulders a few times. And then I want you to see what your shoulders need. So some of you might want this little tiny roll, and this is great. Some of you might want a bigger movement where you bring in the whole elbow. Some of you might want to stretch even bigger and take the whole arm around if you have space. And you can work with one arm, or you can work with both. Create a little bit of movement in the shoulder, and then you can go the opposite way as well. And take a few rounds like that. And then the next time your arms come down by your sides, let's let them hang. We're going to come back into that movement where we lift, elevate the shoulders and drop them down, but this time we're going to do it really slow. So inhale, lift the shoulders up, towards the ears, really slow. And this is the hard part. We're going to drop them down really slow. And you're going to reach your head up towards the ceiling as you do this. Take 2 more rounds like that. Really slow, lifting the shoulders up, shrugging them up. Beautiful. And then dropping them down. 1 more. Elevating the shoulders up by your ears. And then dropping them all the way down. Wonderful. All right, I want to work a little bit with the neck. Sometimes when we sit all day long and we're on a computer or we have a book or a phone in front of us, we get this strain in the back of the neck. So let's move through the neck a little bit. Let's drop one ear towards the shoulder. Doesn't matter which way you go. Let the head hang and just notice how that feels. And then if you want movement, you could rock the head forward and back. You could twist your chin towards your shoulder, and you could twist it up towards the ceiling. Or maybe you like bigger movements where you're rounding around in circles. Look for the part of your neck where you're carrying any tension or stress. And you can move in and out, or you can hold. Beautiful. And then when one side feels complete, you get to determine when you're ready. You can lift through center and take it the other way. And then maybe you hold there for a minute just hanging out, or maybe you know what movements you want to make. You get to move in a way that feels good for your neck. Maybe about 2 more rounds of breath on this side. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the head back up through center. So I'd like to bring us up to standing, if that's okay, if you'd like to come up to stand. One of the things I want to work on a little bit, one of the things the kids love the most is balance. So if you want support, the chair in front of you would be a great place to place your hand. You can either place your hand forward, or you can turn sideways and use your hand on the chair for support. I'm going to use my chair for support today. So the great thing about balance, and what I love teaching kids, is that they love to be playful, and as adults we kind of forget about that. That's my favorite thing with balance as an adult. We can wobble and we can fall out and we can come back in. Hopefully you don't fall all the way down to the ground, but we'll see what happens. So let's start with our right foot. First, let's take a side bend to the left. So take a side bend. Some of you might want to reach your arm up overhead. You can hold on to the chair if you want support. And then see what it feels like to maybe lift your foot up off the ground a little bit, that right foot. And you can let it hover. If you're using a chair, you can try to release and hold, or you can keep a firm grip on it. And see if you can take a breath here. So inhale, and a full exhale. And then we'll come back through center and bring the arm down. And we're going to take that the other way. So first find your side bend, stretch to the side. Then maybe you want to see about lifting your foot up off the ground. And this is usually where it gets really loud in the classroom. Here, see if you can maintain. It's okay if you wobble, you can come in and out. And we'll bring our hand down and our foot down. The next one we're going to do is we're going to lift our knee up in front of us. So see if you can find that balance, find a little stability in the foot. You can decide if you want to play with releasing the hand if you're using it. Some of you might think about reaching the arms up overhead. Some of you might challenge yourself with a little bit of a twist. Can you twist towards the knee? That's okay if you want to tap down and come back in. And then we're going to unwind, release, come back through center, and set the foot down. I like a shakeout in between. Let's do that on the other side. So we'll find stability in the standing foot. We're going to lift the other knee up in front of us, and this is a great place to hang out. Some of you might want to play with balance. Some of you might want to lift your arms up overhead. Some of you might want to move into a twist. And you can unwind and set the foot down and shake it out. Shake it out. Yeah? All right. That's one of the kids' favorite things to do. We do a lot of shaking. I'm going to encourage you to take a wider stance with your feet. Make sure you have space for your arms, and we're going to twist it out. So this is the part where you let your arms go wherever they want. This sometimes can get dangerous, but let the hands fling. I'm going to keep my mic here. Let the hands fling. Maybe you look over the shoulder. Some of you might want to lift the heel up and get a little bit more into it. Start to loosen up. And then my favorite part, we're not going to stop. We're just going to coast in. So plant your feet down and let the body start to twist it out, side to side, and be very patient. Ride it all the way in until you come to a stop. I want to take us through a breath practice before we rest and I play the bowls. I'm not going to be able to hold the mic for this one. So, I'm sorry, everybody online. So for this one, you're going to hold it for me? You're lovely. So we've worked a couple times on the 3-part inhale, where we sniffed and we inhaled and then we had one long exhale. We're going to do that again, but we're going to bring the arms in. So this is the breath of joy. Don't get it. So we're going to inhale and reach our arms out in front. We'll inhale again to open up wide. Inhale to reach overhead. And the exhale is the best. You got it. Let's stack back up. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale to reach. Inhale again to open. Inhale, reach overhead. And then we're going to let it go. And I encourage you to let all the sound come out. You can get as loud as you want. Inhale, arms reach in front. Inhale out, overhead. Let it go. Maybe you hang out here. It's an option. You might want to hang for a minute, shake it out, loosen it up. And then maybe we rise up really slowly. So think about pressing into the feet, rolling up with the spine, taking your time to stack all the way up. Shoulders come up, head come up. Maybe you turn your palms forward. Stand here for a moment, take a breath. We're going to stand into the structure of our body, so where you feel strong. Let's take one full inhale and exhale. Good job. So I want to allow some time for rest. I would say that this is, at first, the thing the kids don't want to do. And by the end of the class, they're like, can we just turn off the lights and rest? Oh, Miss Yoga teacher, did you bring your bowls in today? So they love the sound. They enjoy playing the bowls especially. But they also love the opportunity to just rest in their body. Like, how many other classes do they have where they can just be on their mat? And I also say that stillness is not necessarily what we might need. So it's okay if you need to move around and fidget on your mat. They love to roll up like a burrito. You can do that if you like. But I'd like for you to decide how you want to be in your body for rest. So this is for you. This is not a demonstration. I want you to have an opportunity to rest. You can sit up. You can lie down. We have more mats if you want to lie down. Or if you want to sit on the floor, that's an option. Let's see if I can place this here. I don't know that this is going to translate, but we'll try.
And just so y'all know, we're not taking any video or pictures while you're resting, so this is a safe space as well.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I see a forward fold. You can lean back in the chair. So teaching the kids silence sometimes is a challenge at first, but they usually grow into it, especially when you bring in sound. But for you today, I want you to see if there's any part of your body where you feel like you're holding tension. We worked a few things out, but there might be a familiar part of your body where you tend to hold and grip. It might be your shoulders, it might be your glutes, it might be your face. And see if you can soften, and I say maybe just like 2% of softening or letting go. See if you can rest just a little bit heavier in your body. And then I'll encourage you to center yourself. So allow yourself to be the most important part of this moment. See if you can give yourself your undivided attention. I'm going to start to play the bowl, so I'll let you know so I don't startle anyone. I'm going to bring in the sound of the ocean truck. It'll take me a moment to get it going. think about when you're ready, and maybe you're not ready to move and you want to continue being in this place of softness, or as the young kids say, a soft reboot. Maybe you want to start to bring yourself back with gentle movement. Maybe you want to look around. And then as you feel complete, I'll invite you to make yourself comfortable again, or if there's any stretches you'd like to take. If you're comfortable on the floor, I'd say stay there. If you want to come back, please do. And then one of the most important things we do is we always check in with the kids when we get there, depending on, like I said, what's going on in the school, in the city, in the state, at home. That might be a long part of our session, just checking in and seeing how we're feeling in our body. But now we're going to have an opportunity for everyone here to check in and see how they're feeling after this experience. So thank you for letting me move you. Thank you for trust.
Thank you, Bryna. So we're going to take a couple of minutes before we open it up for Q&A, is that we want to get feedback, your reflections, share out. So I know I asked earlier, can I get a volunteer to be a scribe for us? There's markers here. It's okay, you can, anybody? Thank you. So our first question that we have for you all after engaging in that guided yoga, meditation, breathwork session is, how do you feel in your body right now? And you guys can just blurt it out, and then you're just gonna write it up there. So we have peaceful, sleepy, less stressed than earlier. Great. Ooh.
Less tension.
More centered. Okay. So think about when you were going through that process, what did you notice about your breath or even your emotions? Calm at a grounded state. Anybody want to add anything else?
You don't need no microphone. What my breath?
Your breath or your emotions?
Oh, it certainly slowed, and I was paying more attention to it. And like I said, my mind was kind of, if I was in my mind emotionally, like it was kind of, and then it certainly dissipated.
Slow down.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. And then this last final question is, what might you bring back to your school or organization after this experience? Yeah. Yes, Libby.
I run focus groups, and I feel like something like this, even 5 minutes of this with adults, would actually be really helpful in like getting people on board to actually want to talk.
Sure. Yep.
I coach middle school dance team, and I find that my girls in a lot of, when we enter practice, we do it right after school, that they're in a big space, a lot of things going on. So finding a way to incorporate a short amount of this centering activity before we jump into the things that we need to do to like take care of them before we move into dance.
Got you moving. Get your steps in today. Okay. I will have a program with the St. Louis City juvenile courts, and I work with the kids that are out here, stealing cars and stuff like that, and committing crimes against other humans. And we do some of this, but I can see the benefit of taking even more time. Like the longer we sit, the longer we move our bodies, the more they can make righteous decisions. They can have good thoughts floating in as opposed to the static, like I gotta get out of here because I gotta get back to what I was doing. But it just like settled in me like, oh, more, even more, right? A minute ain't enough, 5 minutes isn't enough. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So thank you all for taking time to share out and reflect on your experience with us today. So our call to action is, 1, prioritize healing justice in programming. Whatever it is that you do, if you're an educator, if you're in the nonprofit sector, if you're in the for-profit sector, find ways of how you can prioritize and incorporate healing justice. Invest in staff wellness and anti-racism training. Again, this goes back to making sure that we as staff, whatever position we hold, we are well to make sure that we can serve the people who we serve on a day-to-day basis. The anti-racism training, and I get we're in this political realm of anti-DEI, all of that. However, when we understand spaces and places that we don't normally occupy, that helps us better interact with those who have been through those places and spaces that we've never been through. It also gives us another side of thought of where this person may be going through. So, we always often ask the question of, why are they like this? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? No, we have to change that question to what happened to them. Something has happened to make them have responded the way that they responded, or even engage in daily activities that they engage in. And that goes all the way back, if we even look at the roots of how systemic racism and structural racism just shows up, right? It's more so we can dig, and it's a lot of literature on that. So just being mindful of that. Also partner with community-based practitioners. So someone like us as the Oxygen Project, some of our instructors, we are here to really make sure that we are providing a service and making a service that is accessible and also affordable. Because oftentimes, if you think about it, the communities, a lot of Black BIPOC communities don't actually have the resources or the funds to pay for a regular yoga session, right? So this is why we're here. All of our programming efforts, any funds that we raise, are to actually hold programming at no cost to our participants, to our kiddos. And then make sure that you're creating space for youth voice and cultural identity. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of youth and little kiddos see in us as adults, is that they don't know what we're going through. They never dealt with this. Like, they find like it's a disconnect, right? And so oftentimes they look at us as we're not really connecting with them. So find ways of how can you uplift their voice and also center their voice, but not just uplift and center it, but also model it. Show that you're actually listening, and so that they know, okay, they heard me on this because they're doing something differently now, right? And then lastly, create a reading list and or a toolkit with a QR code, like for your organization, so that we're in the tech world. So people could just walk past or get it off of their emails just by clicking the QR code or scanning it on their phone. And so before I close out this session, I would like to open it up for questions. If you all have any questions, Nicole's gonna have the mic and you can ask questions.
I just want contact information for the Oxygen Project.
Yes. So that was my last slide. So I just want to thank you all for showing up today in this space. I want to thank the Racial Equity Summit for having us, as this is a space for us to be, for not only educate, but also for us to be free and connect with one another on a common ground. So you can follow us on Instagram at Oxygen Project Yoga for Youth. Make sure you type all of that in, because there is another organization that is the Oxygen Project on Instagram, and they do something with air quality and pollution, something. I was just curious and I went to it, but yeah, something with air. But if you type it all the way out, you'll see that it will pop up. And then for Facebook, we are the Oxygen Project Yoga for Youth. So it's like flip-flop. It's really weird because the other one is on Facebook too, and then theirs is just Oxygen Project on Facebook. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to look into this. What's going on? And then our website is www.oxygenproject.org. And if you want to connect with us, sign up for our newsletter. Feel free to email the organization email, info@oxygenproject.org. And then I have one little shameless plug. We are at vendor booth 2. We have goodies. So feel free to come stop by our table. It's essentially you're making a donation and getting something in return. So we have nice t-shirts that like Bryna has on. We have some stickers, some wellness stickers, sensory stickers. Water bottle that Lori is holding up is 2 different water bottles actually, so you get to choose one. We have a wellness bag, and then you get to choose your choice of coffee or tea to go in that wellness bag. We have a journal, we have chapsticks, we have ink pens. So just come see us. We are in vendor 2. And again, thank you for showing up in this space with us today. And I think, Nicole, will this be posted in the session for them, like the presentation? You would have to do that. Okay. I will make sure that I post the presentation in this session for you all so you all can have it. Thank you.